A lot of different teams, but not for Immortals, sitting at 4-1, banning Lee Sin, taking that one away from Contracts. There's a Zac ban on the red side for Cloud9 as we are pushing through the draft. Olaf joins shortly as 3 jungle bans already. We'll see if Cloud9 make it 4.
Yeah, and if Immortals is actually just going to run the table here with their first set of bans, a lot of targeting on Contracts here. Galio, obviously something that has been very popular, both top and mid, even seeing sometimes support. So, not surprising to see that taken off the table. But this is interesting to see Olaf pulled away. I think that they're trying to force Cloud9 to perhaps ban out something like Elise. If you take Kennen off, you're not going to first pick that. Olaf is very good into Elise. So if Cloud9's not willing to ban that out, they can get that. And if they do ban Elise, then you could perhaps pick up something like the LeBlanc, which is already very highly prioritized too.
Kind of curious to see what the last ban is. It is Fiora though, interestingly. So we usually see that as a counterpick to some of the tanks, Galio being the most obvious one, but actually just straight up being taken away here.
And it makes some sense. I mean, you can think, okay, hey, what do they want to do with their pick ban? When Kennen is taken off the table, that's one of the good early matchups against Fiora. Flame is a guy who does like to play it, so take away one of his better champions.
Well, it looks like actually first pick Gragas once again for Immortals, and that is likely going over to Xmithy. We saw this a lot yesterday with TL. They were trading Reign over Elise, which is certainly one of his better champions. And Xmithy was just taking the Gragas and taking over games with it. So Cloud9, you mentioned LeBlanc, maybe going to take it away here. Yes, and they will very early, but like you said, a very powerful champion.
Yeah, very, very powerful. Still can do a number of different builds. There's more kind of team fighty builds where you go things like Morello Ludens. You can still go Gunblade Lichbane and look to split. So there are some options there. The Elise pickup is pretty smart, I think, in this first round because Gragas can be a potential flex pick, and you could theoretically see Immortals take that away and put Gragas top and just try to pinch that jungle pool even more. So while you wouldn't normally need to pick up your jungler this early, they may have to this time.
All right, well, it looks like the counter pick's already on the table. Pobelta goes ahead and picks up Kassadin. So Jensen maybe being punished for picking this LeBlanc so early, but maybe not a whole lot of options left. And certainly nice to see Kassadin rising back up in the ranks.
Yeah, and Kassadin, I think, really is strong into LeBlanc. It's a very difficult matchup for LeBlanc with defensive masteries plus a Doran shield. I don't even think that you can really bully the Kassadin that much even early in the game. So really the success case for LeBlanc in this kind of matchup is more shove in the lane, which you can do, push it in, look to make plays elsewhere, make plays with your jungler, because you can still have success outside of that 1v1. And obviously, if you can get that LeBlanc snowballing, you can win despite a bad match.
Yeah, you can see Renekton also picked up by Immortals, so showing all their, both their solo lane is actually Flame, going to continue on, I believe, an undefeated pick there with the Renekton, but Caitlyn's still left open. Looks like a pivot to Xayah though for Sneaky, so we'll see if maybe Rakan joins the bans for Immortals, but Sneaky definitely choosing a AD carry he's shown up on already.
And I would certainly expect to see Caitlyn taken away when you do pick up the Xayah. If you're not going to take it, you should ban it out. And now the question is, do you think you can pick that AD carry pool more for Cloud9 with something like a Varus ban, or do you start to attack the support pool? Because Olay actually has a pretty deep champion pool. He plays a lot of playmaking supports. If there's one you feel is higher priority than the rest, you can target that. Otherwise, it may not actually be worthwhile throwing a ban his way when he's playing things like Blitz, he's playing Thresh, he's playing Bard, he plays Morgana. Like, these are all playmaking type supports. And unless there's one in particular you think works very well against your comp, it's sometimes not worth throwing one.
Well, Cloud9 with one more ban in this phase, their last overall of this particular champ select. And they go with Braum, so they are going to take something that seems pretty good against Xayah.
Yeah, definitely a strong pick against Xayah there, and perhaps feeling like that they would want maybe something like the Braum, even to counter perhaps future picks that they could be getting. It's hard to say. Because they do already have a lot of frontline. It's not like IMT definitely needed a support tank because they already have Renekton and Gragas. This may be something that they just feel is a really poor matchup stylistically to what they want to play.
Well, Rakan ban from Immortals, so each team will match a support ban here, and now Cloud9 deciding what they want to take out of this pick. Might just leave the counter pick for Impact, although Shen was banned away, so won't have that option, but already knows his matchup and might try and take something away from Olay, or not, if they want to go for something like Kled.
And I think it makes more sense to actually pick your top laner here since you know that matchup. Make Immortals pick their bot lane now, and then grab up your support for Smoothie, because that's where you can get more of an advantage since there's no point really hiding that top lane pick. The Kled for Impact, I don't think we have seen yet. I don't think we've seen actually him specifically play that. That is something that we've seen Ray bring out, and we've obviously seen quite a bit in the LCS, but Kled is a champion that I think has quite a steep learning curve, and it's something you have to be very proficient at for it to be worthwhile. So we'll see how Impact is going to perform in a lane bully lane against Renekton.
We'll have to see, but Varus picked up the Cody's son with Caitlyn, Vanderway, and Xayah already picked, and now Ole will have to show his support pick here. Like you said, I think it is smart for C9 to kind of wait on counter pick, so Ole is just going to take something pretty safe. I mean, defensive supports are up if he wants that, but we've seen him perform well on playmakers, so he'll take Thresh.
And the Thresh is something that Smoothie is known to play and is an extremely high priority support, especially in other regions. This has kind of emerged as the #1 support pick worldwide in competitive play. It's funny because if this was the opposite, I would be saying Ole could be bringing out the Morgana, which works very well into the Thresh as kind of one of those counters. But that is not really a Smoothie pick that we have seen. You can, okay,
all right,
nice.
I mean, he flashed it. I thought it was having some fun with Ole, but actually going to commit to a dual lane that I'm still figuring out exactly what people are doing it, but they keep picking Xayah Blitzcrank.
I mean, the thing about it is you think about Rakan, Xayah synergies, ways that you can set up very easily for the root. Blitzcrank can do the same kind of things, right? It's also very easy to have feathers already down on the ground. Then if you hit a hook, you don't even have to prep anything. You simply hit your E, you pull it back through, you get that root. And if you don't have feathers down, the knockup buys you time to set that up too. So there's a lot of synergy there. One of my concerns with Blitzcrank in a game like this is there's not a lot of like prime targets. Kassadin later becomes very evasive with the Rift Walk, and then do you really want to hook in a Renekton, a Gragas, or a Thresh? Not really, unless you can really burst that guy down very quickly, or it's an odd number fight. So Smoothie is going to have to play the Blitz, I think, quite well, because there's some tough targets to hit.
I think so as well, but again, the rise of playmaker supports has been a lot of fun to watch, and there's some highlight reel supports on either side. Ole's look good. Smoothie, he was the LCS all-team support for a reason last season, so we'll have to see what he can do here on the Blitzcrank. But I think Cloud9, again, is a bit slow going for them. This kind of feels like they're settling into the meta, which has been changing quite a lot, but I think the same can also be said for Immortals. I mean, for me, Cass and LeBlanc may be the new standard as far as mid lane matchups go, and these are two very good mid laners.
They certainly are, and Pobelter, once again, having a strong season for himself, you know, trying, as always, it feels like, to break into that tip-top tier that everyone kind of considers to belong to Jensen and Jerkson. Pobelter has often been on the precipice, but never really made that move to where people could say he was better than those other players.
Well, it certainly feels like in general Immortals are on the rise. We'll see if they continue that streak here as we'll move out onto the Rift for game #1. That is quite the Blitzcrank skin. I feel like everyone has very different.
Actually, really don't like that one.
Final boss Blitz?
Yeah. I don't like the way he moves. It doesn't feel like Blitz to me. I was never a fan of it.
All right, well, see if we can get a hook at level 1. It may erase all. Really, it won't matter if he does perform on the pick. As you can see, trying to set something up. Smithy in range-ish. Doesn't want to walk too far forward out of the rush. Did spot Elise, could be a bait.
Yeah, they could look for something. I mean, this is one of the strengths of Blitz, you know, at that level 1. And they're hanging around here for quite a while. They're going to look.
Yep, going to move out now, but Smithy, I think, taking a pretty safe route away from 4 members of Cloud9. Smoothie doesn't want to commit a summoner spell, so Smithy will stay unhooked for now.
And if this is solo queue, you probably flash and try to, you know, get him. But this is LCS, so not going to make that risky play.
Yeah, we'll have a look at top lane in just a second as Cody actually defensively wards his own blue. No, it's an invade, sorry. I'm bad at sides.
Yep, so he actually is able to get that down because they know Blitz is on the other side of the map. But to talk a little bit about the compositions, you know, I really do like Immortals' team as far as a team fighting comp. They have very, very strong front line. You know, it's very straightforward type team fighting. So they can look to 5v5. They can look to 1-4, 1-3-1, you know, with the Cassins. They have a lot of options. Whereas C9, it's so much more about getting picks. This is not like a straight-up team fighting team. You do not want a 5v5 on even circumstances. Blitz needs to get picks. Elise needs to get picks. You need to find someone who's split up from the team and Kled ult in. So a lot of it is about when they can pick and choose their opportunities to get those fights.
Well, you can see a little bit of help on the Raptors for Contract, so he's a bit faster to his next buff. Smithy soloed the Raptors, but did stay very healthy doing it. Actually has both these potion charges left, so does Contract, so he will just keep moving through his jungle now on these wolves, and we'll see exactly where these junglers want to go early. Elise is someone that can apply a lot of early pressure. Might be looking for something like this mid lane as Jensen already too dashes in and gets a nice bit of poke onto Pobelter.
And it is a little bit, I mean, so the thing about Dark Seal is going to be a pretty powerful item. You know, you get a lot of value out of it later on. You want to build up AP, that's very nice, but you do have a higher chance of getting poked out in lane when you go this as opposed to the Doran's shield. This allows you to fight up a little bit more, but I just think it's a riskier move in Contracts. Okay, does get the blue buff.
Nice attempt though from Ole. Probably guessing correctly that Contracts didn't have smite, so with his wave already pushing, does get some pressure down. Jensen, though, massively chunked in the mid lane.
Yeah, we missed a really bad trade there for Jensen, because Jensen was ahead on both HP and potions. So interesting the Pobelter was able to kind of turn that one around, but that's kind of the way this matchup can go sometimes. And it's also how Jensen is actually setting himself up. You know, with TP, he shoves very heavily. He has the corrupting potion, so you use all your charges. You try to push in very aggressively, shove that out, and then get a better base timing off. So he can walk back to lane without actually using the teleport, whereas his hope is when Pobelter bases, he has to expend that summon.
Yeah, you can see Darksteel control it up for Jensen, so just refills the potion and walks back to lane. Here in the bottom side of the map, CS nice and even. We saw Ole leave pretty early to try and contest the blue. It looks like the wave has reversed back. Contracts, good cocoon landed onto Pobelter. They're actually going to commit to it as Xmithy's right behind him. Contracts maybe a little too deep, repels down as Jensen looks for the chain. Landed onto Xmithy as Pobelter got poked by the sigil, but IMT walk away from the 2v2.
And now you're very likely going to see Pobelter have to TP back, but the lane is in such an awkward spot because Jensen can, if he chooses, actually hold a freeze. He has denied already one full wave. He's not going to decide to go for that freeze, but they get the TP out. And when you first TP back to a lane, you're so ridiculously vulnerable because if you actually die right at that time, you'll lose so much. So Pobelter has to play it pretty carefully. Thankfully for them, they did have a ward in the Pixel Brush and saw Contract sneaking in to that side.
Oh, at it again, though. Contract once more leaps onto Xmithy. Does actually Q through just over the ledge. And now again, Pobelter's going to get caught in transition. Jensen going to move it back in there as Contract leaps back in. Pobelter rooted for a little while longer.
Smoothie's here.
Also walked up. Jensen needs a little bit more burn. Not enough to take down Cassidy.
They don't get him, but still, they're going to have such heavy lane dominance off this. Pobelter just TP'd. He now has to go back to base immediately. Smithy is getting bullied because of this. You know, they don't have mid lane priority, so he's going to get shoved around a little bit. And Pobelter makes the call that he actually can't go back to base right now, but he's going to be laning with no more potion charges, less than half HP. So there are opportunities for Jensen to make some advantages there.
Well, here in the top lane, Impact's been pushed in almost all lane long. 10 CS up for Flame right now. And like I said, his Renekton has been on form to start off this split. There's a reason they're picking it so early in every draft.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, it's not even just to do with the player. Flame has been playing it very well, but you bully so many lanes. Oh, nice
hook there. Smoothie landed onto Cody's son. Sneaky leaps into action as he ignites down on the Varus. Ole trying to defend, and Cody's going to live through the first one.
And Sneaky actually didn't have his flash from earlier, so that was likely forced when Smoothie roamed away. If he had his flash to follow there, I think that's first blood, but still, nice route to actually set up that pull from Smoothie. And interesting to know that Smoothie actually is going Stoneborn Pact instead of deciding to go for that first Colossus.
Pobelter chunked again here in the mid lane. I think finally will be forced back as Jensen building up a healthy CS lead. Three-man camp set up in the bottom side though.
And this is a no flash AD carry, and a body slam flash is available for Smithy. I think there's a good chance of first blood here.
Good hook there from Ole. Now Smoothie's going to get taken down. He's ignited. He flashes away, but the damage should be there. Ole needs one more, and it's him that picks up first blood.
Nice little camp there from Immortals. Pretty easy to set that one up. They don't go for Sneaky because they want to take the guaranteed kill. They get that. They're even able to set up a little mini freeze here. So that is a big swing for Immortals. Would have been nicer if they got that first blood on Cody's son, but still, going to give them a good advantage.
Yep, I'll take the gold where they can get it as I watch this setup again. Just so much patience here.
Yeah, a lot of patience, and you know, Smoothie walks forward, able to land that hook very easily, and then, you know, I think he actually probably should have just held his flash. That's nitpicking, but at that point, how are you really going to get away when they haven't even expended their summoners? It's definitely a tough call to make, though, as sometimes you can barely get out and make something happen.
Ooh, Impact might get dismounted here. Flame barely able to do the last bit of damage.
Ole is actually roaming up. He used that first blood for the Moby Boot, so he is here. So is Smithy. Flash available on Smithy.
Smoothie's also here, though, so the room is kind of red as flame.
Oh, what a
flash
repel.
up with the repel. He's maybe going to save him. Contract's played back in. Hooked in by Ole, and that's too much CC. Flame grabs the kill on the hook, lands in onto one of them. They're going to try and get the pick as Flame. Forced to get out on the lantern, but Jensen TP's up, looking for Flame there. The damage is enough as Jensen finally gets the counter kill now. Smithy chained in by Jensen, who is now level 6. There's the bear trap and a rope and a double kill for LeBlanc.
Wow, really good TP there from Jensen. Able to utilize the advantage that they had earned for him in lane. Remember, Pobelter had to TP back because of the lane dominance that they'd established between Contracts and Jensen. So those earlier plays paying dividends so much now, and You know, it's a nice move from Immortals. They know that their top lane is bullying. They have the early Moby Boots on Immortals, but this is such a nice repel from Contracts. And yes, he goes down, but that delayed so much for them. It's able to set up for that hook into the turret, get the remount on impact, buy time for the TP. If he actually gets stunned at the start of that without repelling, he probably dies too fast, and they can't even look to turn around that play.
Yeah, quickly played by Jensen as well to grab the double on the back end of it all. So you can see now the Revolver, 4 Dark Seal charges, and 2 Longswords, so that Gunblade will be his first item.
Yeah, and I think it's really smart, especially into this matchup. When you're playing a matchup that you're going to be constantly harassed on, if you do not build some sort of sustain, you will be whittled down. You'll be shoved back to base very often. And Jensen knows that he's very likely going to end up in a side lane at some point against the Kassadin. So build for this 1v1, build for the sustain, and utilize the advantage that you have while you have it now to try to snowball.
Go get blue buff as well by the looks of things, as Contracts doing it's that one over. 67 to 43 CS is a healthy lead, to say the least, for the mid lane. Jensen even using his ulti just to spot out Pobelter, moving towards his blue buff, or back from it.
You know, Jensen certainly deserves credit for the lead that he has built, but a lot of credit has to go to Contracts too, for how well he played around. He was constantly staying mid. He was able to chunk out, you know, Pobelter multiple times, establish dominance there, and now they're looking for a play bot side.
Barely missing on a Cody. Ole had his flash and wanted to go for the AD as a root once more lands onto Pobelter. Jensen able to bully very effectively with these early landing items, and Pobelter out of potion charges once again.
And it's a great matchup for Kassadin, but all of that goes out the window when you get pressured so heavily by the jungler, then the guy gets 2 kills. Like, nothing is a good matchup when you're massively down in gold in the situation that he is in. So C9 as a team have played very intelligently around this, and I think we're seeing more teams start to play this very smart. You know, we saw this with Lucian, kind of the blind pick there when you get counterpicked by a Victor. You know, Echo Fox is able to pull this off where they pressure it very heavily. They throw that out of whack. And
good hook, nice actually forcing the flash from McSmithy. Knock up, it's going to land after the Lantern got taken, so Sneaky able to pick up a freebie.
That was really nice from Smoothie. Smithy did hit the smite there, wanted to stay around and fight, but the collapse was much faster from C9. Pobelter was back in base. The bot lane had been pushed in, and Smoothie able to make the play to actually clean up that kill, and pretty nice stuff from them.
Yeah, Jensen roaming down as well. Good hook from Ole. Lands in onto Sneaky, flashes back to the IMT duo, so maybe going to play a bit more aggressive here. Sneaky trying to turn it back around, but forced to burn Featherstorm there. Doesn't pull them back though, already so low. Just trying to clear the wave and get out at this point.
Yeah, he does have red buff, so he can get a lot of healing if he gets out of combat, but you know, I think maybe a little bit overconfident as he came back into lane that he was so strong with that red buff, he didn't have to worry about it. It gets chunked out pretty hard, but he has that kill, and we'll be able to go back to base and shop.
Yeah, it looks like Cody actually has to shop also. Decent amount of gold left in his pockets, so everyone's going to return and feel quite a bit stronger once they revisit the bottom lane. Xmithy walking into C9's jungle though, trying to get some vision down. Does spot the Raptor camp and moving towards top lane.
And both teams are trying to kind of trade vision back. Jensen has Smithy behind him. He doesn't really know this, and Pobelter cook him over. They're going to look for the collapse.
Oh, body slam not going to hit. Jensen dashes away into the Rift Herald pit. Got friends behind him though. Flame is there. Now it's going to be turned back around. Kled is going to roll all the way around as Smoothie gets the next kill. And now Smithy gonna not get Bear Trap. Going to take the Lantern out of the way. Impact. Put the hitbox through the through Smithy there.
Yeah, he got a little bit ahead of himself. Literally got a little bit ahead of himself. Didn't land that, but still, C9 moving around the map so well. Smoothie making a couple really good roams here. You know, being able to make those plays early on the Blitzcrank. And before these guys do get really tanky, and when you have these odd number fights, you can hook in anyone and burst them down. So he's really being effective, and I'm very impressed by the early plays here from C9.
Yeah, a lot of roaming from both supports. In fact, double Moby Boots facilitating a lot of that play. As Ole going to clear out the control ward that C9 placed and try and take some vision around this Ocean Drake, which may be our next source of contention. Smoothie, though, still out on the map, clearing wards, and lots of pressure in the mid lane onto Pobelter. Kassadin will need a while to get scaling up, particularly with the lead that C9's built for their mid laner.
Yeah, it's going to take a really long time, I think, because when Jensen completes his Gunblade, he's going to be so dominant in this 1v1. Pobelter will be still probably pretty far away, actually, from his completion of his first item, so you can look for this window of opportunity where Jensen can really bully and try to extend his lead.
Does get a bit more damage down, but Pobelter just going to farm the waves under turret. Jensen still pressuring in, but we'll actually check it on the top lane now. Flame has built a sizable lead 30 CS ahead of Impact, and this was the counter pick for C9. Maybe picking up for comp. Flame certainly had a good run in the early game here.
Yeah, Flame has been outlaning his opponent, you know, despite the fact that C9 has actually been up to the top side twice and gotten kills on Flame. Impact did not get those kills, and he did not really get much of an advantage off of it because the positions in which Flame has died, he's not really losing minions or anything like that. But it's hard to know just how comfortable Impact is on this pick because we haven't really seen it a lot from him. But you know, so far, the CS lead is not that big of a deal. You know, Renekton is a lane bully. Impact is going to have a lot of utility with his ultimate, and you just don't want to fall too far behind.
And right now, again, getting some gold. Has 3 assists to his name, so keeping it maybe a lot closer than the CS deficit would otherwise make it. Jensen again poking back in onto Pobelter. Every Q just dealing so much damage. Jensen able to dodge in and out and punish the melee Kasten as much as possible. Smithy back down to the bottom lane though. Looks like Contracts are wrapping around mid, looking for the cocoon, forcing Pobelter to rift walk away. And we're going to start a base race here. 2 in mid for C9, but 3 in bot lane for Immortals. And I think they're going to get the first turret. Smoothie though grabs a hook down onto Smithy. Should be able to convert into a kill. But the ulti from Gragas keeps him alive. Comes to the Colossus. Not enough for Smoothie. Does grab it after going down. His Ignite able to get it. And there's first turret gold. Also to C9. So a flurry of action there.
Yeah, that was super worth it. I mean, Smoothie ends up dying, but who cares? They got the turret first. They trade a kill. And they're able to actually defend the turret in the end there. So nice moves again from C9. That's part of the power of that Elise with the red buff. You can just walk in. They threaten the dive onto Pobelter. He has to get out of there. Can't actually TP back to his low turret. And now Immortals looking to set up one of these picks again. We'll see if Sneaky gets too close.
Doesn't have his ulti, forced to flash, does so instantly, but Olay lining up the hook, lands it, predicting the movement as a TP's back
look at
in
all
from
the TPs coming in.
Everyone's coming down, but Cody's already taken down Sneaky. It's Impact riding first in as Pobelter comes down. Jensen gets the kill on Olay, and now Jensen under fire as Flame ties him up. Impact down here, but he's dismounted as Flame is looking for the dive. Smoothie though, he's going to rejoin the fight. Hooks the wrong way as Flame ducks down to the left. Another turret under fire. Pobelter and Flame going to try and finish it off, but 2 melee champions. Seems like a tall order.
Yeah, not able to do it, and Flame hitting Smoothie with the no juke. It's the challenger level move there. Everyone predicts you to move. Just doesn't do it at all. Nice though. Again, more kills for Jensen. He's 4-0-1 on this LeBlanc now. You know, Pobelter and Flame TP'd in as well, but they couldn't really get anything out of it. And just the fact that the gold is all being funneled into Jensen is very advantageous for C9, despite the fact that Immortals, you know, does at least get a kill. A really nice play here to start things off from Olay. The flash play, he gets Sneaky despite that summoner being used, then hits the hook. That nails the first kill, but look at the damage. The bounce there from Jensen, the double kill immediately over onto that bot lane, and then just goes into full retreat back to the turret.
Oh, the Flame cocoon lands in, Sneaky gonna root him up, but not even needed. Now Sneaky with another kill as Flame just explodes.
That was so much DC. They hook him in, follow with the cocoon, then you have a knockup, then you have a root. C9 trying to defend topside. Impact clears out the mini wave. Now this is pretty awkward for Immortals.
3-man dive starting. Impact was always good at living in these situations. Another Rift Herald, which Contracts did pick up after the earlier play towards mid and bot, does mean they get yet another turret.
They're going to get 2 turrets, I think, on the bot side here. Immortals probably can't defend fast enough. We'll see. They are running out here, but the Rift Herald is already going to be doing damage to that turret. It's going to go down so fast. So yeah, 2 turrets, and they fail their dive on the top side. More and more moves going C9's way as Immortals feels like they're getting a little bit outpaced and they're getting caught off guard by all this pick potential from C9.
C9 doing an excellent job also of not just getting the picks, but then moving around the map and taking additional advantages. Immortals constantly falling behind on every failed play, especially Pobelter still getting pressure to C9 steal the red buff out of Immortals jungle, and now Impact, he gets pressure on the top side. So maybe now, yeah, this Drake is the next obvious move for Cloud9.
C9 is just doing such a good job moving around the map right now, you know, always converting to the next step. You know, they get the first turret, Elise immediately goes to the Rift Herald, they get an opportunity bot, they take 2 turrets, they take the red buff, they take the dragon, they're getting pretty much everything across the map, and despite the fact that Flame is having a great lane for himself, you know, Cody's Sun is up quite a bit of CS here too. It's not really going to matter unless they can kind of slow down C9. But that being said, if Immortals can slow down the pace of the game, eventually Kasten should be winning that 1v1 against the LeBlanc. You know, eventually they will take priority and kind of have an easier to execute comp. So they need to weather the storm right now and try to play very calm, very collected, not bleed out too much gold.
Yeah, I think though taking a step back, it's just great to watch any team perform well at a macro level. And for me, the most important is this essence of timing. It's one thing, you know, to take an objective, okay, okay, reset, we've got an advantage, but knowing exactly how much damage you can do and pushing your advantage to the limit is what separates the good from the great. Immortals, though, trading back to get a turret in the bottom side.
Totally, and I think that's a really good point, and there's all these hidden factors that can allow you to do that. For the great teams, it often looks very easy to get objectives after kills. That's because they have prepped their minion waves. That's because they have vision on their opponents. They know how far they can go. Nice hook there.
It's nuts! This is actually so much easy back into Impact. The dismount might keep alive, but the dunk is there for Xmithy. Cody's son able to finish it up as Jensen's on the hunt once again. Oh, goes back to the distortion. But not tricked by the clone either. Push still starting though. Top turret went down to C9, racing once again.
Olay had a nasty hook there. They should be able to get 2 turrets, I think, off of this. C9 is looking to trade 2 of their own, but when you are behind, trading evenly like that, I think is a positive for Immortals, and they're going to even trade up because of that additional kill. C9 should not be able to push for an inhibitor, so I think Immortals comes out of this quite happy.
I think so as well, but Jensen tried to stop what happened in the bottom lane, but didn't feel quite big enough to 1v3 in that situation, particularly after Ole displayed some pretty amazing hook prowess.
Yeah, I mean, this hook is sick. This is a total prediction that Impact is going to juke to the side. As soon as the cast animation comes out, Impact reacts with his dash to the side, but Ole has already predicted it. They're able to land it. I'm not even sure if that all hit. Maybe it just knocked into the turret. It looked like it might have just bumped into the turret, but either way, didn't matter. They have the damage, they get the kill, they get 2 turrets, and Ole has been having such a good season for himself. I think both him and Cody's son are really stepping up, to me, moving up and up the ranks as far as, just bot lane power goes. And that has been one of the most fun things for me to watch with Immortals. I love watching good teams. You don't necessarily need these massive superstars to be successful, and that is kind of what I'm seeing from Immortals. Xmithy, people are like, what a downgrade. They lost Dardoch, and then, oh, who's going to carry on this team? None of these guys are that good. Everyone is stepping up because they're working very well as a team, and they're being so successful through that play.
Certainly have to agree. They already took down TSM, and Immortals looking good in their 2v2 this game 1 as well. That hook misses, a rare one for Ole at least so far. And looks like we have actually started moving people around. No Drake up for a little while longer. Yes, Baron is up in 10 seconds, but likely not a real objective for the next 5 minutes or so. So Jensen, he's busy on the top side. He'll start splitting there. And we've got Impact back down towards the bottom as Immortals just trying to match all the pressure still coming from C9. Remember, are up 4,000 gold. And great hook on the Cody as well. That should be an easy one. Ooh, actually flashes out. Time's not long enough, but Contract is going to chase in. Jensen looks for it as well, but Contract does take it. Ole now jumped up by Impact. A sneaky looking to follow up. Xmithy does trade onto the jungler as Contract falls, but Jensen still looking for a little bit more as the dive lands in. Smoothie flash hook misses onto Xmithy, but Jensen pokes back down and looks for Gragas. Does not get it, but a 2-for-1 trade.
Yeah, 2-for-1 in the extended play there. And it's about what can C9 get next. They already had the minion wave once again pushing. They're going to look to try to push in here and take yet another turret. It doesn't look like Immortals can really defend. Smoothie can look for a hook here. They're going to try to fight, though.
Smithy on the other side. Flame actually going big. Pops the ulti. As Kled is dismounted, Immortals successfully defending that first wave, and Flame's going to meet the next one and ensure their tier 2 mid lane stays alive.
Yeah, I think that was actually very well done from Flame, realizing how strong he is with that ultimate early on. Not necessarily looking to take a full-on fight and get the kills, but to clear out that minion wave. And here again, vision over the wall has already been placed down, and they do not see Smoothie there waiting in the corner. So it's that advanced ward that C9 had down. Power of vision. Able to trade back a kill onto Contracts, though. Does go to Smithy, and this is just a nice collapse from C9. It's about vision control. It's about establishing dominance, and that's the kind of way they want to play their comp. They want to be very scrappy, very skirmish heavy, not look for established 5v5s.
And try and gank Flame. 2v1 right now for an exit. No ultimate here as the TP is coming in way too late for Immortals, and yep, a correct cancel there for Pobelter.
Nothing that Pobelter could really do. Maybe if Flame had his ultimate up, maybe he can live long enough, but even then, he was dying pretty quickly. And that would be a tough one to turn around. Immortals definitely have to reestablish vision. I mean, if you look across the map, they have no forward warding whatsoever. They have some defensive wards, but it makes it really hard to know what to do, where to move against a team that has so much pick when you don't have vision. So you have to establish your vision control as a team, move around, first get the defensive line, then try to move forward into the river. It's a step-by-step process, because if you cannot farm safely, you can't extend the game, right? You will just lose too much gold, you'll fall too far behind.
Yeah, and C9 have done a great job just kind of playing to the structure of the map they've set up and abusing all their advantages. Contracts, full damage right now on the Elise, which given how much pick power they have, makes a lot of sense. You can see Flame dying to a combination of a Tiamat, now a Titanic Hydra, and a Black Cleaver there for impact, plus all the damage that Contracts does.
And I also think that, Contracts realizes that they are not looking to play a slow measured game. They're looking to snowball, they're looking to stomp out this game before Cassidy gets huge, before the tank line is too tough to deal with in the team fights, and they can just march into a 5v5. So you go full damage to capitalize on any opportunity that you find. Contracts can 100 to 0 one of these carries if he gets that right opportunity. So I think it's an intelligent build for the situation.
Certainly agree. As Contracts going to get Mountain Drake, the first Mountain of the game, but the second Drake total for Cloud9. Just going to, again, continue to extend that lead further and further and add a lot more potency to their side lane pressure. And once again, where's Jensen? Bottom lane right now. Looks like they've seen I've been doing some shuffling back and forth, but the nice thing about this setup is much like Immortals, although they're behind, which is maybe their issue right now. C9 can apply pressure in every single lane, and we haven't seen it in a while, but Elise Blitz is actually a pretty good 3 if you're just trying to support your side lanes, move around, and do exactly what C9 has done, which is find picks and extend their lead.
Yeah, and Kled, fits right into that too, right? Kled can be the way in. And it's one of the things you always have to keep in mind is Kassadin in an isolated 1v1 late game should smash the LeBlanc. But how can you actually abuse that matchup and play offensively when a Kled and a Blitzcrank could be ulting in so fast on you and chase you down? Like, that's the kind of stuff that Pobelter has to worry about, and that's what can make it really hard and kind of throw a wrench in the gears of how you think a matchup should naturally go. Is the rest of the comp, is the vision, is all these other external factors that aren't always necessarily obvious.
You can see the patience almost rewarding C9 with a kill on Smithy. Hooked from LA, not going to land, but you can see just how much vision C9 are playing with as Kled is going to roam in. Looks for the first one once Ole does find it. And now Pobelter trying to do damage on the other side. Pick out there as Contract actually 1v1ing Pobelter on the other side. Flame low dives into the back with impact, takes him down. Remounts there onto the Kled and now moves forward. Bear Trap is going to miss after the flash, but Jensen able to chase one down. Lands a chain onto Pobelter. That's going to force a Rift Walk in C9. They start the fight and they get the only thing they need, 1 kill.
Yeah, they get the 1 kill and they also get, flash off of Smithy, and now they're going to go right back to Baron. You just keep repeating this. They want to force Immortals into them. If you do not face check, you start the Baron. If they do face check, you have so much picks, so many ways to catch them out. And Smithy maybe caught right now.
Straight into Smoothie. That's what the body slam he wanted. Chain a lash from Jensen, as that's going to be the kill. No impact. Already caught Ole, looking to chase that one down. Bear Trap, he's going to grab him. Doesn't snag him back as Ole flashes out of the way.
The vision game is just so good from C9 here. 4 pink wards around the Baron area, 2 by the pit, 1 in the top side, 1 by mid lane. They have complete vision control as well as 3 sweepers. Like, this is so excellently done. Immortals is really between a rock and a hard place. They're going to try to move in here with the TP from Flame, but it's too late.
Pretty all in play, but yet no reward at all. C9 just too far ahead, 7,000 gold up, and now with a Baron.
C9 are honestly putting on a clinic. Like, this is such a well-played game from them as far as the macro game, as far as, you watch some teams when you're watching some of the lower tier teams that really struggle to close out games, that struggle to push advantages. This is how you do it. This is how you want to see those advantages extended. C9 has not necessarily the easiest comp to play, but they're pushing their edge with crazy vision control, forcing Immortals to check into them, then utilizing their advantages, which is the hard engage, which is the pick to get these kills, and then repeating it over and over and over. And it all starts with their vision. It starts with their team play, which is why I'm so impressed.
Yep, certainly agree. And now Jensen with a Magi's actually built up, feeling pretty confident that the game is going to end in short order. A strong LeBlanc sitting at 4-0 and 4. The rest of C9 not short on gold either. So now Cody desperately trying to clear out these Baron up creeps.
Yeah, I mean, this game could end on this Baron. Like, it would not actually be that surprising to me with how ahead and how decisive C9 has been playing. Certainly, it is not guaranteed by any means, and Immortals still could hold on, still could turn around this game, but C9 has been so strong, so decisive, and it's so tough to match up for anyone against Jensen right now, who is, comically ahead. Pretty much at this point.
Yep, double TP is up, so Jensen pushing top lane, the rest of C9 trying to siege this last tier 2 in mid lane. He's actually the only one left up, so C9 don't have to do too much more work to get into the base and start threatening the Nexus.
I mean, Jensen is 3,000 gold ahead of Pobelter, so it's so tough for Pobelter to actually go in and match him up, and he's going to be able to shove in very aggressively, and as he gets to those inhibitor turrets, you're going to see C9 really start to turn up the pressure in the mid lane. If you force too hard before he has pressure on the side lane, then you can lose out in the mid lane and get nothing on the side. Now they can either collapse or force on one side or the other.
Yep, Jensen actually caught by Cody, rooted up there by the ultimate. Probelta's trying to follow through, but Jensen able to get out of the way. Now Contract sleeps into Probelta, his impact straight into the team away. Hook back in by Smoothie is so much damage on the Zai is actually shredding the front line of a Flame. He's massive, his impact takes down Cody, but Sneaky, he's actually going to go down. Olay managed to grab it as Contract's now leaping and looking to 1v1 the Cassidy. Cocoon's going to miss, but Smoothie and Jensen right behind him. Going to look for a hook, not going to hit there as Jensen gets a Gunblade. Not quite enough burst for Probelta as C9 go all in.
I mean, and that was a fight where Jensen essentially did not participate whatsoever. That was almost a 4v5. Yes, they expended summoners on Jensen, but C9 is just so ahead. There's pretty long death timers here. They could march in and try to end it if they're feeling a bit bold, but they may decide to play it safe, spend some of this gold, and really just ensure the win.
Yep, take top inhib at least to start things off. And now move back towards the blue buff, which isn't up, so it looks like a retreat from Cloud9 right now. 40 seconds left on this Baron buff. Might have 1 or 2 more pushes to play with.
It makes sense. I mean, there's a good 7,000 gold unspent that they have right now that they can look for. It's a good move from Immortals onto Jensen. They needed to be decisive, and Jensen is essentially zoned out of the whole fight. He really doesn't do anything. But the rest of the C9 members are so strong. They are so far ahead. Cody-san was really the only one who has a lot of gold on Immortals, and the fact that Impact is able to zero him out means Sneaky is not really threatened that much and can go pretty aggressive, take people down.
Yep, Dude's managed to get yet another kill for himself. 4-2-8. As a reminder, he's 9 kills away from hitting 1,000. 991 right now. So keep tracking Sneaky as the series goes on.
Just, you know, Penta and Quadra, and then he'll be right there.
Perfect. Maybe a game or 2 to do it as well. So we'll see how that works out. But Mountain Drake the second here for Cloud9. They'll take their 3rd total objective on this right-hand side of the map, and looks like the push will continue despite the fact that Baron buff has dropped off. Once again, Cloud9 just monumentally far ahead in this game.
They really are, and they're going to look to keep pushing the pace because they know they don't want this game to go super late. They don't want to allow Immortals kind of claw their way slowly back in as they are trying to do. So they're just going to continue splitting with this 4-1 squad. Smoothie can look for hooks, and they can try to get picks that way.
Well, Smoothie busy clearing a ward, but Cocoon did hit onto Smithy. Not the best hook target, though. Like you said, as the game goes on, there are significantly less desirable total hook targets on the Immortals lineup.
Yeah, it does get really hard, right? But as long as you're very far ahead, you can still pretty much hook whatever you want. But if the game becomes a little bit more even, it gets very, very tough.
Smoothie just again keeping it dark on the other side. Looking for the angle on the hook as Cena continues sieging up. Jensen still pressuring, but Probelta's now down to answer that. I think Cassidy's going to at least be able to clear the wave safely, but I guess we'll find out in the next few minutes as C9 can kind of keep the pressure snowballing here. I mean, there's nothing else to take on the map, so C9 able to hold in this pattern for the next few minutes.
And one of the other kind of like untold stories when you see teams doing like this, sometimes you may wonder why they're playing so fastly, but they are going in now.
Got a sneaky ulti there, forced to use it there, and Olay actually in the front line is going to take too much damage. Smithy knocks Sneaky out of the fight now. Chain going to latch onto the Gragas as Smoothie leaping forward. The Probelta grabs it, but a nice buffer with the Ripple gets him out of the stun, landing into Smithy. Might not be so lucky as Redemption is going to reset it all. Impact did get dismounted. IMT, a decent defense actually.
They are. They're having a pretty good defense, but the Super Minions are on the Nexus turrets. C9 pushing forward. It goes
going all in for it. Looks to try and get the play, but has Jensen already getting a kill. Zaya does fall down. A Sneaky will fall, but Smoothie able to take down Probelta. Jensen able to slay Cody on the backline, and Flame, he did everything he could there to try and get something done, but he's only the last one left, and now he's dead as Jensen grabs the triple kill and ace, and now a TP in for Impact in celebration of a Game 1 victory versus
Gonna
Immortals.
end this one in style with the TP, the triple kill on Jensen. 7-0-6 was a monster on LeBlanc. Found his opportunities, worked so well with Contracts and the rest of the team to really get him ahead, and he was able to be so effective from that position.
Olay, the sole defender, is Jensen with a max stacks on the Madrais. The ace will happen once again as Olay falls down. Blitzcrank gets the final kill. C9 take down the Nexus and take Game 1.
That was a damn impressive game from C9. I think that is certainly their best game that they have played this split, taking into consideration the strength of opponent and how well they worked as a team, how dominant they were in their map movement, in their objective control, in their vision game. Like, this was a complete game from C9, and Immortals is gonna have some questions after that game. You know, that was very dominant. And Immortals had some strong picks. I think they had good lanes. They had their options, but C9 just made more of what they had taken from draft.
Yeah, it feels like it's whenever I see Immortals ahead in a game, they're able to play up with momentum and just proactively snowball around the map. But when they're behind, it looks a little more like this game, and it was C9 this time that was being proactive and just kind of snowballing advantages. So I'm not sure if it's an experience thing. I don't know if it's specifically a composition thing, but it is very different watching Immortals when they're ahead and just smashing people, and behind and kind of treading water a little more.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, it is partly down to the picks as well, right? Like Kassadin, when you fall behind, it's really tough because you do not have safe wave clear. And, you know, Contracts was able to get so much done mid lane. I think that he really was the unsung hero of the fact that Jensen got so far ahead because he pressured nonstop. He pushed Pobelter back to base multiple times, and that allowed Jensen free reign in what otherwise should be a very tough match.
Well, I'd love to hear more. So for more insight into the game, let's send it over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much. Pastry time. Cloud9 picking up a sweet victory here off the back of a big LeBlanc in the mid lane. Jensen piloting that pick. Let's dive into Champ Select a little bit just to kind of set the table and the tone for the match. Because we had a lot of matchups that could swing, you know, kind of heavily. We have two different carries in the top lane that could turn into split push monsters, as well as double teleports in the mid lane, which could result in the same thing.
This should usually be a pretty fun game when you have a lot of skill matchups in the side lanes, and then you also have all the playmaking supports with the Thresh and the Blitzcrank. A lot of stuff that can go on in this game, but it was all centered kind of around the mid lane and the early LeBlanc pick.
Kind of the two picks I want to talk about for Cloud9 side was the LeBlanc, and the LeBlanc being paired with an early game jungler, the early game jungler, Elise.
Yes.
You know, everybody kind of forgets nowadays that Elise is most banned right behind Zac as far as junglers are going because of the power that she can bring to matchups like this. And as far as the matchup with the Kassadin and the LeBlanc, I'm much more in the school of thought where Kassadin is like an answer to LeBlanc rather than this counter, because LeBlanc has moments of power, right? And because of her passive, she goes for pushing the wave very early on while simultaneously getting harassment onto you. And if you have a strong jungler who's going to win that one-on-one versus a Gragas also in the Elise advantage, then you can really start to mine some.
It's very easy to look at that mid to late game Kassadin and kind of forget the power trough in the beginning of the game and what LeBlanc can do if given advantages. And that's where we point to that 2v2. I want to pull up a couple replays here. First, mid lane trades. As was mentioned, LeBlanc going very ham early, making sure he pushes in the Kassadin, and then, of course, Contracts coming in to aid in the 2v2.
This is one of the things that C9's always been best at, is their mid-jungle synergy. Contracts makes repeated attempts in that mid lane, chunking out first Smithy in the jungle, and then later there you see the Kassadin. So it forces this teleport back initially, and as soon as, you know, Pobelter gets back in the lane, he's chunked out again. You have the freeze going on the side of LeBlanc after she initially pushed in and got her early TP off. And those two things put together with the well-played laning phase out of Jensen combined with Contracts' pressure around the mid lane, it makes it so the Kassadin, who's pretty weak until he gets his 6, he doesn't get there.
They almost denied like two full waves of minions in working with this, and Contracts sitting around mid lane.
I mean, CSD numbers on your screen right now. At 5 minutes, up 11 by 10. That's doubled to 23, so already an astronomical lead there in both gold and experience. But then, as you mentioned, the teleport is used by the Kassadin to get back into the lane. And so it's not just CS and experience differential. It's also the ability to visit the side lanes and move that advantage. We see that come 7 minutes into the game in the top lane, a 2-for-1 off the back end of the Jensen TP in the top lane.
This is one of the advantages of TPing first for pressure, because the other guy has to answer, and then his TP teleports down a little bit longer. A really nice catch-out attempt here by Immortals onto Contracts. They will eventually pick him up, but on the same time, it buys enough time for you see the Jensen teleport start channeling in. And a good job by Smoothie roaming up there and helping pull Flame under the turret, make him take a lot of aggro and get him low enough for Jensen to start getting the cleanup kills.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're talking about earlier, there's a huge amount of playmaking when people keep on going for these Thresh and Blitzcrank lanes, right? And so first step is the roaming game has to be on point. But the second thing is that would have been a completely perfect Immortals play. They would have gotten out scot-free with that kill had not there been a mid lane teleport disadvantage. And Jensen was the only factor there that actually turned it around in Cloud9's favor. And that's kind of the thing where As a jungler, you're so rewarded for putting so much focus onto one lane early that has a teleport. It's like, I'm Elise and I'm camping here for the mid lane, and then this, high-leveled LeBlanc mid laner goes and teleports up there, and the jungler's like, yeah, that was me. I get credit for that.
Yeah, absolutely. But so then let's flip the picture and let's be in Xmithie's shoes for a moment, because how do you respond to this? Knowing the power of the 2v2 of the LeBlanc and the Elise, he opted to stick around and attempt to help Pobelter, but ultimately it didn't net them any advantages. Should he not have gone somewhere else?
It's tough because you want to get some vision out to make sure that your Caston, who has this lane bouncing away from him from the early push of Jensen, you want to get some vision for him to make sure the Elise isn't just going to kill him. And then while you're doing that, you bump into the Elise, you get chunked out, and things go south from there. Maybe you completely ignore it and focus on the top or bot side where you have, you saw later them able to get the first blood actually with a flash thresh play. And that's like things you can kind of look for if they actually wanted to.
Yeah, I mean, there's always the solo queue saying of never gank a losing lane, which is too overarching and kind of too generous there. It is a little bit more complex than that, though. You do have to very closely look at the mechanics of the 2 versus 2. No way that a Kassadin Gragas is ever going to win. Battling that out heads-up matchup versus LeBlanc.
I mean, it's the difference between defending a weakness and rather building a strength for your team. And we saw here it not working out for Immortals in the choice to defend that weakness. Player of the game going to go to Jensen on that LeBlanc. Again, I mean, when we talk about Cloud9 and kind of returning to form, there's an expectation that Jensen puts up performances like this. How do we feel about the rest of the roster and their performance in this game, since we were so kind of zoned in on the mid lane for this segment?
You got to be a little bit concerned for Impact taking that Kled kind of blind early, hoping to get a good matchup versus Flame, who just takes, or he picked it into the Renekton, excuse me, gets bullied pretty hard early on. And that's a little bit concerning because there have been some topside issues where like Ray seems to be the better player individually, but C9 doesn't operate quite as well with him. And it seems like they might still be in that trap a little bit because this was mostly the Jensen and contract show.
And so then I want to go to you, Kobe, with my final question here, is that with that knowledge in mind, would you expect Immortals to maybe move away from the mid lane attention and put some more stock into, as you mentioned at the beginning of the day, their side lanes, which have improved greatly, both in the bot and the top side?
Yeah, either that or, maybe not pick such a exploitable duo for mid and jungle, considering how, Cloud9 like to play and how Cloud9 have shown. I mean, Jensen always is at the center of Cloud9 compositions, right? So maybe if Pobelter's on something a little bit more versatile, Kassadin is not necessarily going to give you a lot of leeway and options early on.
Some thoughts for Immortals and how they might be able to bounce back. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, it's game 2.